Hi, my name is Gregor Witkowski, and today I would like to share with you about one particular case that I did lately. Let me show you the case. The case is quite simple. Well, it looked simple, but in fact I made some mistakes. So let me show you the case, and I hope that we will all learn from this case and it will help you not to make the mistakes I did in this treatment. The patient came to my office with a regular cavity. He was sent from another doctor, and this doctor wanted me to do an endodontic treatment. And of course, when we look at the X-ray, when we see this is nothing special, just a regular lower molar. But it is a problem. If we will look carefully on a distal aspect, then we will have understanding about the anatomy. Well, the main problem with endodontic treatments are misunderstanding the anatomy. If you misunderstand the anatomy, if you fail with judgment of this anatomy, then you will fail with your treatment. So let's come back to the case. I removed the temporary restoration and tried to clean the tooth. When we focus on the X-ray, the problem that we can encounter is that initially I had to do the deep margin elevation procedure. And if we will look at this particular case, so the problem, the cavity was deep, so the problem was to prep it and then isolate it properly in order to get the proper emergency profile. And as you can see, it's not round. When you put the matrix, it's not round. So the first problem that I've encountered was with the restoration of this tooth. And of course, I needed to use a proper wedge. And in this situation, I used a wedge from Paladin system. Take a look at this. I've restored the tooth and I thought that now it is easy, but unfortunately, the problems has just started. So when I prepped, irrigated, I reached my goal and I thought I reached the apical zone. Unfortunately, the apical zone was not that apical zone that I wanted to get, but the wrong one. Let me show you why. So in the mesial part, finished with 2, and then I had with the distal part 2 in the distal part. And of course, my shaping protocol was not pretty correct in this situation. I was in a hurry. I was trying to get this patient as fast as possible because it was Friday afternoon. And you know how it is when it's Friday afternoon and you want to go to your home. So of course, in this situation, I've made this mistake because I was in a hurry. So what happened? After drying the canal and obturation of the system, I saw something like this. Well, initially we can say, wow, we have 2 apices. We have 2 apices in a distal aspect. But unfortunately, it's not that way. Unfortunately, the problem is deeper than we think. Because when we will come back to this original X-ray before the treatment, you can see that original canal was in that manner. So the problem that I've encountered at the apical zone was that I reached almost the apical zone and I tried to go into the apical area. Unfortunately, I was not advancing. So what I did, I pushed the file, and that was my biggest mistake. Because when I pushed the file went in the wrong direction and created wrong path. Well, if it created the wrong path, the problem is that I not only created the ledge, but I've created a perforation in apical area. So when we look again at this X-ray and we will analyze this situation, the only thing which helped me and saved me from the total failure was proper irrigation and proper activation of the fluid. And that was the most important part in this situation. So of course, when we obturate these kind of canal. When we make this mistake, we can save ourselves with proper irrigation and followed by proper obturation. But in order not to do these mistakes, let me tell you how to do it. Well, in most of the cases you can prep with one file if you use the system like I did in this situation. Well, I was using the reciproc files here. And in this situation, when I was using the reciproc files, well, I was not doing any glide path and no scouting. And the biggest problem is not forgetting about scouting, but the problem was that I misjudged the anatomy. And of course, you might say, yes, but it can happen. Yes, of course. But if we can avoid it, please do so. Okay, so once again, when I go with this kind of situation, the initial thing is to judge the anatomy. After judging the anatomy, you need to understand if you want to do the glide path or not. If you are interested in doing glide path or the anatomy needs these because of the initial situation, then you need to use your hand files in order to pre-bend it and introduce it passively to the canal. And of course, in this particular situation, I didn't do that. So, the first thing I should change is to use ISO 8 or ISO 6 even, pre-bended in the curvature that initially I can judge on an X-ray or cone beam. If you will pre-bend the file, then you put it in the canal, you introduce it in the canal passively. And if you introduce it passively, then you will get this tactile feeling, this delicate scouting, and while you will reach the apical zone, then you can go with mechanical glide path preparation like a pilot in this situation. And of course, you are not reaching this apical zone in one move. You are trying to get it in several moves, which is irrigated in between. So don't forget about irrigation, put as much fluid as possible, and of course, scout it with the mechanical file. After reaching the apical zone, then you can go with your preferred system. In my situation, I used in this situation, and I would definitely use it again, the reciproc file in the blue technology. And of course, go up to resistance. Most of the times you will reach to the apical zone, but sometimes you will not be able to reach the apical zone. So remember, try not to push this file too much. Of course, if you are doing severe curvatures, you can use the files with taper 04 size 25 and you'll be more than fine. Most of the cases with abrupt curvatures you can do with 2504 or even 3504. You can finish up to apical zone with proper shaping protocol. I hope that this case I showed you was a good lesson and it gives you some clinical tips and some clinical information that you will understand how to not make these mistakes, how to avoid these mistakes, that the most important thing is judging the anatomy. If you will fail in the beginning, then you will fail at the end. I hope that we'll meet again, and I hope that you will follow our channel. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel and don't forget to turn on the reminder, which will give you the information about new movies, about new tips and tricks, videos that we will produce for you. Thank you very much and see you again. My name is Grzegorz Witkowski and I hope to see you soon.